Thank you, Presiding Officer. Fami Bodach. I'm an old manny, so I'm unlikely to be learning Gaelic before I shuffle off this mortal coil. But like many of us, I have Gaelic antecedents. My grandfather, Alexander Campbell MacGregor, was a Gaelic speaker. He was a ship's rigger. He married someone from Edinburgh and settled in Leith. My mother was therefore brought up in a bilingual household, and she spoke Gaelic to her father and English to her mother. When she went to school in 1914, she entered an environment where she was punished if she spoke Gaelic. I've also got a great-great-grandfather, Archibald Stewart, who took his Gaelic with him to Canada. But that was a very long time ago. He was born in the late 1700s. On the other side of the equation, and perhaps less to the merit of the Stevensons, my grandfather, William Stewart Stevenson, married Elizabeth Tate Barlow in 1890. And his first appointment as a teacher was in the Gaelic community on Lewis, where as an Anglophone, monoglot, with an English wife, he was sent to make sure nobody in the school that he taught in spoke Gaelic. Thank goodness we're now in very different times. My wife, like Ian Gray, went to Inverness Royal Academy. I've not spoken to her about her experience, but she doesn't come from a particularly strong Gaelic tradition. Now, how do I connect to Gaelic today? Like others, I see Gaelic place names and geographical features that have Gaelic names. I have Runrig's May Morning CD in my car, which of course was a CD they produced for the opening of the Scottish Parliament in 1999, and I have a CD of Julie Fowlis. Do I understand everything I hear when it's in Gaelic? Certainly not. I have a few words, and it was interesting. I was listening with one ear, the translation of my colleague Kate Forbes, and Gaelic in the other ear, and I could pick up some of the crossover. But could I speak Gaelic in any meaningful sense? Absolutely not. When I was a young lad, if you wanted to hear Gaelic, bluntly, the place where you would hear most Gaelic would be the Hielanmen's Umbrella in Glasgow, which is traditionally where the people from the Western Isles would gather adjacent to Central Station under the arch over Argyll. And you heard more Gaelic there than you heard English. So just as now we're seeing the development of Gaelic in the cities, historically, in the more recent past, it was also a city thing. Now, the area I used to represent in the Parliament, but is now represented after reorganisation of the boundaries by Gillian Martin, was where the Book of Deer came from. And that's nearly 1,000 years ago. And it has the oldest piece of written Gaelic that's in it. It's actually a Bible, and when the first attempts were made to work out who owned Scotland, the monks from Deer Abbey went round writing down information about who owned what, and they wrote it in the margins of the Bible, and they wrote it in Gaelic, which is really quite interesting. But of course, some of the Gaelic that we're talking about in Aberdeenshire is not Scottish Gaelic. There's a town that's now known as New Pitsligo, which has the alternative name of Cyack, C-Y-A-A-K, which is actually really Welsh or Bythronic Gaelic. So the linguistic traditions that we have are actually quite diverse. Let me say that my voice is a wee bit rusty today, so I've touched on Gaelic for that as well. I had a gargle of Annock, which is the whiskey that's made nearest to me, which is a Gaelic name for the Knock, which is the hill behind the distillery. So may I very much welcome the announcement of additional investment in Gaelic teaching in Glasgow, and indeed the opening of other facilities elsewhere. That's very much to be welcome. Thankfully, the 1616 Gaelic Act that Ian Gray referred to did not succeed. And Peter Peacock, our late colleague here, was absolutely pivotal in moving Gaelic to another place, building and what had been done before. May I give my absolute support to efforts to bring Gaelic to more people. And I just conclude with one very simple suggestion that might help, that we might consider doing. We've lots of geography, lots of places that have Gaelic names. We might actually start to help the Anglophones to know how to pronounce Gaelic. Because when you look at some of the Gaelic names, if you're an Anglophone, it's quite baffling. But with a wee bit of help, we might actually learn how to pronounce Gaelic.
I don't know how to pronounce, please conclude in Gaelic, but please conclude.